Congratulations, and here we are on a Trailer Friday, everybody. It's a Trailer Friday, Season 8, Episode number 9.
Trailer Friday.
And as we mentioned, I think in the full episode, you really like Episode 9 because it's like 3 threes.
Yeah, 3 threes. So it's like this, if you're on an infinite season 8, I think that having the cube of 3 threes. Oh,
beautiful. Chicago. Go get yourself a dog. Tree dogs. Yeah, so hopefully everybody's doing well on this Trailer Friday. Here in Chicago, we were, I think, 80 last week, and now we're at, down to 40s in the beginning. I think right now at this point in time, it's 53 degrees outside from the Weather Channel.
Yeah.
So,
what we're saying is that we've seen, like, summer and then gone back to winter. And now we're experiencing spring. And so it's lovely. It is lovely.
Yeah, snow happened on the beginning of the week.
It did.
Yeah. I mean, good thing is we didn't have to shovel again. And I'm okay if I don't have to shovel.
You're okay?
Yeah.
I'm okay? I'm okay, you're okay.
Right.
All right. Okay.
I mean, it can fall any time of the year it wants to, like as long as I don't have to shovel it.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm cool.
I bet you're pleased with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't mind looking at it. I just don't want to have to clean it up. You made the mess. You pick it up.
Oh, if it could only be that easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yup. So how you living? I don't know where. I think much of the Midwest. I mean, if you've been in Iowa and Illinois, it's pretty much been that same, this somewhat similar experiences. Even though I think Iowa definitely has had more snow than we have as far as like accumulation goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, for us, we've had some cold, but still, it hasn't been a bad winter.
I'm not going to complain.
No. I mean, it's always the fear is like you get a not bad winter and then you feel like, okay, does this mean summer is going to be horrible? It's possible.
Totally possible.
Right. But you never know.
So what you're saying is you're not
Everything's unpredictable.
looking in your little snow globe and foretelling the future?
Right. I try not to foretell any futures.
No prophecies here.
Yeah, got nothing on that front. I think everything is kind of mixed up as far as the weather goes. You never know what's going to happen.
And here we are.
And then you get 85 degrees last week, and you're like, oh no, we just missed spring. And then we go back to winter.
You know.
While we're in the spring.
The seasons are just playing tag.
Yeah.
Hey, so what's coming up on Sunday?
We've got a full episode on Sunday.
2 weeks in a row.
Right. We didn't take a week off again. So, yeah, so we get into conversations. I mean, we spend a significant amount of time talking about music.
Yeah, so if you want to hear your name dropped, you should listen. You should listen to the episode on Sunday. I'm not going to tell you whose names we drop.
Right.
But I will tell you that we talk about music and language, the language of music. Mm-hmm. We also talk about the boxes we find ourselves in,
right,
and pushing the limit of those boxes. You know, one thing that Amy and I were watching like a limited series thing, and it was about this group of people that helped get Jewish people out of Spain.
Yeah.
With the whole Hitler War thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was based on a true story. And it was very, very inspiring. But it was really cool to look at because there was like some list out of New York of some of like, it was basically like a brain trust. Get the smart people, get the creative people, get the, not that other people were dumb and not creative, but apparently there was a list. But anyway, it was really cool. And I just think, man, I'd really like to get in on a conversation based on artists and how people who are in the art world using art to change the world, how does that all go, and just perspectives on that. So I don't know.
Yeah, so there's the music talk, which we kind of then transition into kind of where we then land, but I think we do bring in some of the elements from the language of music into the conversation that we have, right after that. So.
Yeah. And where I bring a real life parable that Phil is able to flesh out for me, and then we move into a little bit of science talk about the law of physics and the work of resistance. It's interesting when you brought that up. This is your Trailer Friday add-on. That's how my pottery kiln works, is a resistance. Because when electricity flows through, and we're able to harness electricity with the proper conductors and the proper insulators.
Right.
But that's why you have different gauges, which would be diameters of different wires. Like if you go to the Home Depot for an extension cord, you could get 12 gauge, 14 gauge, 16 gauge. If it says 12 or 14 or 16, my understanding on that, if I have this correct, is the smaller the number, the larger the diameter. It works backwards.
Yeah.
But anyway, that determines the load of electricity that could flow through. Now, typically, if you're using an extension cord, the it's 110, but then the amount of amps that can be passed through and all this stuff. I'm not really big on electric. It's kind of like math in my world.
Right.
But in the kiln is wired 220. So you have two individual legs of 110. And that equals 220. So each prong there is carrying 110. And then I think one breaker's set up for 45 amps and the other one's set up for 60. And so, I mean, the cables that are running through the walls and stuff that they snaked in are, I mean, it's pretty heavy duty. That's why I have breaker boxes in the studio.
Yeah.
And when the kiln's not in use, the breaker box is shut off. And so even though electricity is flowing to the box with the breaker box shut off, it's not going from the box out to any place where it can escape. But then as the electricity passes through, the coils in the kiln don't have any insulation, and it's the resistance based on ohmage. So like in my large kiln, it has two different kinds of coils. One's a 6 ohm and one's a 3 ohm. And based on that, resistance allows for how hot that gets. And basically, as you turn up the dial or turn down the dial, you're increasing the electricity that's going through this point of resistance that causes it to be like a toaster oven of the old day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you have an electric stove, not a gas stove, the elements in there that glow red, those are elements that are made for taking electric through to resist so that it creates heat in a controlled environment.
Wow.
A non-controlled environment means people die. Yeah.
So control amongst the chaos. I dig that. I dig it.
Yeah, we found out that Phil's not a fan of jazz. And
Well, I am.
no, I heard you say you hate jazz. He did not say he hates jazz. He did not say that.
Yeah, I did not. I mean, there's parts of it. The reason why I don't, fully embrace myself in it is like because it doesn't always make sense, to me. So, yeah.
And the musicians who play jazz, they're like, oh, it totally makes sense. There's
and I'm sure it does.
There's a recipe to the chaos. You can play around it and around it and around it. So we talk about circle of thirds, circle of fifths, and if you ask me to explain it to you, I would have to go to my phone and find a picture from a guitar instructor, But yeah. Little bit of current culture weighed in, and then we also got to be privy to Steve's assessment of current culture when it comes to some music television. Yeah, we kind of had a music theme and transverse that into Phil, I was speaking in universe terms, and Phil brought me back into reality terms, which means that he brought great nuggets of wisdom. So you're gonna want to listen on Sunday, or whatever day ends in Y in your world, that you can get to the podcast.
Right.
But give it a listen to and see. Any Steve rants? I don't think so.
No.
I
mean, as we transitioned from music into the dilemma.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a rant, but I mean, you were talking about the dilemma. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're a listener who enjoyed the story of about the pocket door, you're going to enjoy the story about the powder room.
Right. Yeah, and I think that in that, I mean, so as you have talked about it, I think it was pre-recording, was more like there's people that understand your journey based on this. Like, you haven't had time to talk to them, but they're like, hey, how's the pocket door? How is the powder room going? How's the constraint? Because of, the conversations that we have right here.
Well, it's just real life.
So, yeah.
It's okay to talk about real life.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where you'll also, as you listen and hear, you'll be able to follow then in the journey of Steve's reconstruction.
It's true. Yeah. It is so true.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to my mom the other day. Hi, Mom. And she and I were talking, and I'm like, oh, you can't believe this story I got for you, Mom. And this is one I wanted to tell on the podcast, but didn't get out. But I've been profiled twice in stores for the Soul Truck. Now, I'm using the term Soul Truck. You have to listen on Sunday to get the whole thing.
It's true.
But there might be a dialogue that involves Coors Light and Bro Country. And not might, there actually is. I'm not going to get into that story, but we've landed on. So the Soul Truck is out in the parking lot, and I was in the store, and the first time it happened was a couple weeks ago, and I was like looking down the aisle at the eggs and the milk, and this guy comes in and profiles me. He's like, "Hey, is that your Ford pickup truck out there?" And I got my Ford cap on right now, but I had it on that day too.
Yeah.
Usually it signifies that I haven't washed my hair. And so I'm like, yeah, you see my cap? And so the guy's like, no. He goes, when I walked in, you were the only guy in the store that looked like that. You went with the truck. And so I'm like, all right, fair.
Profiled.
And so then, but this happened just 2 days ago. So I'm in the store and a guy walks up to me and he's like, "Hey, that's your Ford pickup truck out there, isn't it?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, when you drove up, my wife and I, like," he goes, "I knew it was you because we saw you get out of the truck. But my wife said, you've got to talk to that guy." And I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, so my name's Doug." I'm like, "Hi, Doug. How are you?" He's like, "Where do you hang out?" Is there anything like? Isn't this kind of scary?
Right.
I'm like,
I think he wanted to be your friend.
which is like the long story made short. He does want to be my friend. Yeah. Like he's So my answer to him was, "I hang out at home." He's like, "No."
He wanted it to be a bar.
He did. He totally wanted it to be. I don't hang out at the bar.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, nothing ever's good's come from that for me. And so, I mean, like, and I literally have, like, this little Honeycomb restaurant is at the corner. I mean, like, they've got a bar there, like, where they, serve various concoctions and amounts of alcohol and but I mean, it's like they actually have a bar. Mm-hmm. It's a restaurant, but they have a bar section or whatever.
Which you could belly up to.
Within a short walk. Yeah. But I don't go there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, and so he wants to know where I hang out, but I don't hang out. You see my conundrum?
There's a little bit of an issue.
So anyway, so Doug goes on to tell me that his wife, he's from Florida. And
Florida man.
Which, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't get the joke, well, then just Google Florida man and any Florida man meme will come up. Yeah. And so.
And apparently there's a new Netflix show called Florida Man, so that may come up top too. So.
Yeah, there is. And so anyway, so Doug's telling me, yeah, my wife, she's had a couple 6-month contracts here. Now, this is going to be insight into the community where I live, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, what's she doing?" Now, me, in my head, I'm figuring that she's some executive that's working Chicago at the time, and so they're here, and she's based out of Winnetka.
Yeah.
Nope, her 6-month contract is taking care of someone else's kids.
Somebody whose kids are, the are also probably executives.
Or not executives.
No.
Or not.
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Right.
But she's had a couple 6-month contracts. He goes, "Yeah, and I fly up here for, 7-10 days, and then I go back to Florida and take care of stuff." And, he's probably not as old as me, but maybe he is. I don't know Doug very well yet.
Yeah. So
he's like, "Yeah, my wife, she sent me into the store and was like, you've got to talk to him." I'm like, "All right, cool." So he's like, "Yeah, we just live over on Laurel. The people she's got a contract with is renting this house for her. And so I come up and I stay, and stay connected and then head back and stuff." So she's either an au pair. Is it au pair?
Yeah.
Au pair, nanny. Or a high-level functioning, like she could be doing homeschool with the kids, or, I mean, and who knows what age group the kid, like, there's so much of this story I don't know.
Yeah, yet.
But it makes sense for her financially to be in Winnetka doing this job, 6-month contracts. Mm-hmm. And it could be one of those things where it's flexible that while the kids are in school, she's there for that. But then when the kids are out of, I don't know yet. So Doug says to me, he goes, "Well, like, so I'm heading back to Florida tomorrow." He's like, "But I'd really like to get together with you and talk more about your truck and stuff." So he's telling me that his wife's here on contract. and he says, I just don't know anybody. And he goes, I think you'd be a fun person to get to know.
There you go.
And so I'm like, well, I'd be open to grabbing a beer. I said, do you know Little Honeycomb? He goes, oh, yeah. I said, or Fred's. I mean, I said, I live over on Lincoln next to Community House, and I don't want to give him the actual, like, I'll let him break into any of the units, not just mine, right?
Because always be leery of Florida man.
Right. So Doug's like, man, I don't have a card. He goes, do you have a card? I'm like, in my head, I was like, kids don't use cards these days. Mm-mm. I'm like, here. I said, just do what one of my kids would have you do. I gave my phone. I said, just type your phone number in here, and I'll call you. And so anyway, he typed his number in, and I called him. And so then we had each other's numbers, and I put Doug's name in, and
it's a story of friendship.
And so my mom says, man, and literally, so I'm talking to Doug. Mm-hmm. I get my stuff. I go out back into the parking lot. As I'm walking towards the truck, there's another dude circling the truck, walking around looking at the Soul truck.
Yeah.
And then another dude's getting out of the truck. He's like, is that your truck? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, that's really nicely done. And then the other guy he's like, yeah, my truck kind of looks like yours. He had a little S10. He was a painter with these racks on it. I said, you got good patina going there too. It was basically a rust bucket. Yeah. And stuff. So anyway, so then Doug has gotten out of the store, gotten in the car. He lays on the horn, rolls down the window, and I get to meet his wife.
Ah.
And so I told his wife, I said, yeah. I said, my wife was saying to me on Sunday, hey, do you still like the truck, and how's it going? I said, well, it's a commitment to a lifestyle because it doesn't have the modern day conveniences. Mm-hmm. She just looked at me. She goes, you don't have Bluetooth? I said, or heated seats. Now they're driving in an Illinois registered car.
Yeah.
That's an Audi SUV. My guess is the host family not only rents a home for them on Laurel,
also has a car.
Has a car for them. And apparently it's worth her coming from Florida for 6-month contracts.
Apparently.
And I heard on NPR yesterday that in Chicago, they're trying to pass a law that child care workers get $25 an hour so that people aren't leaving to go to other jobs to make more money because they're struggling with having child care so people can be able to have a place for their children so that they can get back to work. Mm-hmm. Post-pandemic problems.
Wow.
Wouldn't you love to be the owner of a child care place and all of a sudden your minimum wage for your child care worker goes from $15 an hour to $25?
Yeah. Congrats.
And then how long does it take to follow where
prices are going to go up too?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
it's already outrageous.
The consumer is going to pay through. But how long? If they pass that for child care workers, how long will it be where the new minimum wage in Chicagoland will be $25 an hour?
Yeah. It'll shortly follow.
Well, but when you're paying in Chicago proper, when you're paying 60 cents more a gallon per gallon for gas,
just filled up in the city yesterday.
Oh my word! Yeah. I mean, because literally, I filled Amy's truck up for $4.19, and I look down here, and it's like $4.49, $4.69.
Yeah. I got it at Costco. I think it was $4.30 something, but
and so that's 11 cents higher than the Costco out at Northbrook. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's not horrible compared. There's one place on Cicero. They're at $4.99, but they're at the corner of Cicero and Elston.
Those places are always super high right there.
Yeah, because, somebody's like coming off the interstate and they have to, I
running out
gotta
of
get
gas."
gas. Yeah.
And they capitalize.
So anyway, Doug,
Doug.
he put my name in his phone, and I said, you can put one F-100 down there. He goes, no, Winnetka. He's like, dude, literally, you're the only person I know. And so I said to his wife, when he stopped, and he rolled down the window, and I said to his wife, I said, yeah, we were just talking about it. I told Amy, I said, the thing that I really love of what's happening, and it was the thing that I was really kind of cautious and scared about.
Yeah.
Is the truck gets so much attention, like you got to be ready for it emotionally. And after coming through the pandemic, I'm such a recluse anyway.
Yeah.
And this is what my mom was saying. She goes, well, Steve, it's good to know that really, this is forcing you to interact with people. And I'm like, yeah, it really is.
Right.
And so, yeah, and
it's a conversation starter.
And that's what I was telling Amy. I said, you know what? The truck brings a lot of joy to people. I said, it's so crazy because it's just a thing. I said, but people smile when they see it. People enjoy taking it in. And this is kudos hashtag. Thank you, Matt Handley. I haven't said your name in a while, so we'll see if you're following.
See if he's awake yet.
Yeah,
or still.
It's minute 28 of Trailer Friday. Right. I don't even know if he listens to the trailers.
Yeah.
But it's such a work of art, and but what I was telling my mom was that I don't get into a store now where people haven't seen the truck. That I'm not talking to someone. I mean, it's either the store owner or some of their help, or people who are stalking me now in stores, profiling me. Right. And not that I'm not wearing a Ford billboard on the front of my forehead with a cap, but so anyway, it is that part of any other time, and this is what I was sharing with Doug's wife, any other time you walk into these stores, nobody's talking to each other. Mm-hmm. Nobody has any reason to stop me and say hi. My kids didn't grow up with their kids, or I'm not sitting on a board, or, I'm not involved in the Chamber of Commerce. Just here's all the lists of what I'm not doing or haven't done. I mean, I'm new to the community, and it's an old money community. Mm-hmm. And so, I said, it's just cool because now I get to have conversations with people. I've got my 3 bullet point. Hey, this is what it is, year, make, model, and what went together. And we get to talk about it. And he told me about his 1958 Harley Davidson, motorcycle that he had. But he's like, when I'm back in town, I'll shoot you a text. We'll have a beer. And I'm like, isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. I mean, again, it's just navigating how do you break into a new community? Mm-hmm. Or is loneliness your virtue? And
you're like, okay, friend.
But I'll get to make like I'll get more of the story.
Yeah.
And I have a tendency to think that Doug will probably be the kind of person who he'll introduce himself to more people. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a fascinating journey.
That's right. I don't think he's shy in speaking either. So
no,
so you'll get the story.
Well, and that's the thing is I've found pretty consistently that most people, especially the extroverts, mm-hmm. they like to talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool story.
People are like, Coble, I listen to you on this podcast.
Community continues.
You talk all the time. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, this is like,
right.
a 2-hour outlet that I have once a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a cool story for Trailer Friday.
Yeah.
I think it leads into understanding full episode on Sunday.
Well, the Soul Truck. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like,
Right.
it was a hyperleap for me to be able to share that with the story about Doug. But,
Yeah.
and if you wonder who else I talked to, that's coming up on Sunday as well. And that does not mean it's a human being.
It's true. So that'll pique your interest.
Yeah.
You're going to listen to just for that sake. If you're still listening to Trailer Friday, you'll have a pique interest on who else he spoke with.
Hashtag Doug's going to be my friend.
Hashtag Doug, my friend.
Phil, do you do the Dougie?
No. Remember the whole dancing thing?
Yeah.
We pretty much just stay away from that.
Oh, yeah. See, I had to relearn that.
Yeah. We try to just steer clear of dancing altogether.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep. That's the way it is.
What about the
And
floss?
It's okay. Yeah, it's another dance that I don't do.
All right. What about the Macarena?
Yeah, that one too. We'll just put it right in that camp. Let it sit there.
How about the country two-step?
And nope, never two-stepped or three-stepped or four-stepped.
Yeah. Do you see how he's sidestepping this?
All of it's just playing in.
Hey, so as a public figure,
Yeah.
because you are,
Yeah.
he's
Pretty
really
public.
he's wondering where this is going. How do you feel about hugs in public?
Yeah, so to me, I think, like, I don't mind it. But it's also, like, I don't know if I'd want to... Like, I'm not somebody who would wear the free hugs shirt and then, like, expect to have, hugs from everybody. Like, there's that level of, like, I don't know who I'd want to hug or not. I wouldn't want to put it out, like, so I don't mind it, but it could get weird, I guess, is the level.
Pranger right now is just dying laughing because he knows how I feel about hugs. And, there's a big thing going on in our current culture about Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
And what's appropriate and not appropriate. And I've just told people that, like, in public, that whole idea of personal affection in public, that was just... Go back and listen to the other podcasts. We've talked about it. So, I would have to say I prefer the side hug. Just an arm wrapped. Hey, how you doing?
Right. Instead of the 2-arm embrace.
Or we could, implement the attaboy.
Yeah.
Just
the pat.
The pat on the back. No, I meant on the bum.
Oh, with that one.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Got it. Yeah.
Attaboy.
Right.
That's
the sports pat.
Yeah.
This is not sexual in any way, Pat.
Right. Just like, maybe that's why people do the fist bump.
Maybe. Yeah. Keeping it clean.
Right there. Fist bump.
Fist bump. Oh, boy. You're going to enjoy the episode on Sunday. There's lots of things that that we can relearn.
Yeah. So, that's what we got.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Yeah. It's kind of a long trailer today, but hopefully you enjoyed that too.
Well, they got, like, me telling the Doug story like 3 times as I lost my train of thought, but, it's okay. I'm going to go back to solitude to gain my my sense of being able to come up with words that make sense.
That's always good.
Yeah. You know what, though? Speaking of, like, talking to things, we're trying to say goodbye. I feel I have something I want to say that I will not say because it violates my code of what I'll talk about on this
community standards.
But we were talking about, talking, to a cat or talking to a dog or whatever. And I have one of Micah's what were those little stuffed things?
Beanie Babies.
Yeah. So I got a Beanie Baby chipmunk.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to pull that down and talk to it.
That's a good one.
Moving from the animate objects to the inanimate. I mean, it'd be weird if I like talked to the kiln.
It's true.
But I mean, at least if there's some like semblance. I mean, yeah.
So it's revealing a lot more what we talk about on Sunday.
I don't know if I've really gotten Phil speechless through laughter to this point at all. As he giggles his way, and we fade to black. Hopefully we'll see you on Sunday. And by us seeing you, I mean you seeing us. Or listening. Or however you do it. Just take it in. And then let it out.